once they've done that, and we're doing this is our full system isolation continued, the technician will then fill out a bid sheet, okay? And this is where I'm going to need a volunteer also from Transolution, who also provided us with this bid sheet. And for a lot of us, it's going to be on page 19 and 20. But if it's not, the title, of course, is Transolution's bid sheet. And so this is where they have this form that they use. And if you don't have something similar, I highly recommend it. I've seen this form in action, and it really works well, okay? Because it gets the information that we need to save time, making us more efficient, and then we get our explanation as to why each part needs to be replaced, and those parts are listed out. I can personally tell you from my own experience that I've seen where something like this could have saved me a lot of time and headache, okay? Or my service writers saved them a lot of time and headache from in the past. Okay, so let's look at this sheet together, and maybe I'll just stop right here. If I could have, who's the volunteer at Transolution that's going to share the bid sheet with us?
That would be me, Kyle.
Hey, Kyle. Right, the floor is yours, sir.
All right, so at the top, you've got the customer name of the RO number, your initials, and the date. All important so that it doesn't get lost on the counter when the guys are cycling through it and trying to build estimates. Your labor description, brief description of what you're going to be doing, your labor time that you've looked up in the guides, accounted for everything that has to come off, the reason why, pretty brief, unless you have to really give an explanation there. Most of the time we have it written up on the RO, or we've typed it in the computer with a more detailed description. And then as far as your parts go, really good researched list of parts. Read all your instructions, repair instructions, how to get everything out of there, what all you're going to need, coolant, hose clamps, how many hose clamps, how many gallons of coolant, oil, filter, the whole process.
Awesome, man. I love that. So just from a show of hand from service advisors, how many service advisors have been in a situation like, boy, I wish I had had a technician fill one of these out? Come on now, all of us. Here's the deal. I mean, I've seen it happen. This is many years back, but technician writes up, we had a car come in, check engine light, misfire, diagnostic gets sold. Technician writes it up, for 3 hours of labor, and remove and replace all the spark plugs. Advisor gets the ticket, calls the part house, gets the estimate on the plugs, applies the labor time to it, the diagnostic, and sells the job. Guess what they forgot? Intake gaskets, right? So the technician didn't list it out. He just assumed that the service advisor understood that, and his exact words were, man, I wrote it up for 3 hours. They should obviously know. And so we didn't have this back then, but boy, I wish we would have, because it would have saved a tremendous amount of headache. Or you're doing a head gasket job, and those head bolts need to be changed, right? I've had to eat head bolts once before, but one time, and then I learned, hey, those things upon removing stretch, and we can't go back with the same ones anymore. If I'd had a list like this that would have listed out the parts that were needed, that would have saved me the aggravation of having to eat those head bolts. And the thing about it is what I could tell you is you can't go back to the customer and just upcharge them. Hey, we forgot some parts that you really need to do this job correctly. So now we're going to have to charge you more. It don't work like that. That's say goodbye to that customer, right?